A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 11th March 2020. Day is Wednesday. On our table we have two interesting editorials. The first one is Market Mayhem. This one is talking about global economy, impact of coronavirus. Then we are going to talk about Sensex and things that government should do to make sure that we can mitigate this negative impact of coronavirus, trade war, slowdown, etc. Then we are going to talk about scoring law. This one is about the latest report that was tabled in our parliament. It's about education. It's about this figure that we have discussed earlier on, that roughly 40% of our schools, government schools, they don't have electricity connection. And this is very sad. So we are going to talk about education and how we can improve it and other things. Then we have one, India needs all hands on deck. This one is about labs. We need more labs on board to deal with situations like coronavirus outbreak or any other future virus outbreaks. And this article is also providing us with an example of China. Then we have a progressive system of taxation. Now, this article is written by a CA, chartered accountant. So, in this article, you will find some technical stuff here, right? In the end portion, you find some technical items, three different types of dividend tax. But to be honest, you don't have to go you don't have to know those sort of technical things as far as your general studies are concerned, right? But we are going to talk about this dividend. What is dividend? I will explain you basic things, of course. And we are going to talk about this, the issue with dividend tax. So that's basically everything that we are going to take from this article. This one is about writing as resistance. Now, this article is not important. I mean, when I say writing, right, this article is not going to help you with your answer writing in your mains examination, right? So let me tell you, many students will feel like they will get something from this article. No, this one is about those people who want to pursue writing as an art, as a profession. So it's more for them. But you can read this article if you have extra time, go through it, and it's basically, it will help you with the comprehension. This types of article or portion of this type of article you find in comprehension in your prelims examination, right? I'm talking about that CSET paper. So go through it, and then you have these two articles. One is about CAA. Now, we have talked about it many times, and this one is about Yes Bank. So if today is your first day for this series, then I highly recommend you guys to check out yesterday's discussion. We have talked about Yes Bank in detail, so I highly recommend you guys to check out 10th March 2020's Hindu analysis, and once you go through it, then you will know mostly everything about Yes Bank and why we are where we are, right? And what are the steps that government should take and things like that. So let's crack on with editorials. But before that, last day today for this big holy sale. Make the most out of it. 70% discount is a big offer. All information on StudyIQ.com. If you have any further queries, feel free and give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. To download the PDF of today's lecture, you have these two sources. Dear friends, please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. There are so many students out there. They are not aware about the English version of the Hindu analysis. So particularly students from South India and Northeast, there are so many of them. They are looking for this sort of analysis, but they don't know about it. So please, dear friends, can you please help me with sharing this lecture? Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So yesterday we were talking about this demand and supply, how it works when it comes to any product or service. And we talked about this OPEC Plus meeting, this tussle that took place between Saudi Arabia and Russia. And finally, Saudi Arabia has decided that it is going to go ahead with extra production. It is going to produce or pump more oil in the market. And already we know that the market is struggling because of coronavirus. It's not just coronavirus. Before that, we know that this tariff war or trade war was going on between the two biggest economies, USA and China. So this trade war has created a negative impact on global economy. Then you have this coronavirus, and then already the demand of oil was not that much, right? It was already down, and earlier on this OPEC Plus were trying to control the supply side, but now supply is going to increase, so naturally the price of oil is going to drop. And yesterday we were talking about the benefits as well as some negative things about this drop in price. Now, global market rout induced by an oil price plunge, and investors are looking to exit equities, and this is the main reason why we saw this big drop. BSE Sensex in terms of points suffered its worst single day fall of 1,942 points, or there was a 5.2% drop in Sensex. And one of the main reason is investors are looking to exit equities for now with whatever gains they can muster, or worse, in a bid to cut their losses. For example, someone has purchased a share, purchased for one share for 50 rupees, let's say, and the current price is or was 100, and yesterday or day before yesterday there was a drop of 5.2%. So let's say on an average this 100 rupees share is now 95. So a person who has purchased it for 50 rupees, he will think like, anyway, he's making 45 rupees. So it's better to sell this share and recover the money, whatever he can, so that he can invest this money somewhere else, right? Now, imagine another person who has purchased this share for 100 rupees, and now he's losing 5 rupees. So he will think that this is the right time to recover whatever the maximum he can. Even if he's making 5 rupees loss, it's okay. It's better to exit now, because the sentiments are not right in the market. Sentiments, right? Very important thing when it comes to share market. There are other factors as well, but sentiment plays a very important role in share market. I'm sure you'd be aware about this thing. Share market means some of you might be directly involved in it, or you might have heard about share markets from your friends, families, etc. So if more people, if they think things are not going to be right, then they will take out their money and they will invest in something that they feel is safe. For example, gold. Now, FII is foreign institutional investment or investors. So you have this FDI, that is foreign direct investment, and then you have this foreign institutional investors. So big difference. Now, there are technicalities here, but I'm going to stick with very common and basic things. FDI is for long term. Remember this thing, because FDI basically means like you are opening a factory here, or you are investing in a factory. So if you're, let's imagine that you are living in USA and you want to open a factory in our country, in India, then of course your investment is not going to be for few months. You are planning to invest for, let's say, average 5 years, right? After 5 years, if you're making profit, then you will continue, or you may sell this factory to someone else. So FDI is for long term. FII is, the very nature is for short term. It's more about share markets, and so you're investing money. If you think you will make some money, then you will take this risk and invest money in share markets in some other country. And when you feel like, okay, you can make more money, or the risks are too high and it will get more severe in future, so you will pull your money back and you will invest it somewhere else. So that's what we are witnessing at present. Normally what happens is, we have one more item that we need to connect this FII with, is this thing that US Federal Reserve last week made an emergency cut in its benchmark interest rate. Normally when Fed, that is USA's Federal Reserve, this federal bank, when it slashes interest rate, normally FII flows increases in countries like India. But the reason why they are pulling out is because there is a slowdown in our economy as well, isn't it? And this is the main reason. Or else normally what happens is, when let's say a person, I'll give you one example, Fed Reserve. Let's say if you can borrow $10,000 from USA's bank, and if you have to pay, let's say, 5% interest, and if you invested this $10,000 in Indian market, and if you are getting, let's say, 15% return, right, after calculating everything, tax and everything, you are getting 15%. So here is a 10% difference. That is your profit, isn't it? So you will pay 5% easily and you will still have 10%. Then you will reinvest this 10%, add this 10% to this thing, and then you will reinvest, and again, it will bring or make some handsome profit for you, this difference. So this is the reason when your Fed Reserve chops benchmark interest rate or repo rate, then it becomes easier for these investors. Means money is easily available at a cheaper rate, so they invest in countries like India. But because our country is going through this slowdown thing, they are pulling their money out and they are investing in somewhere else, or in other markets, those markets that are doing good, or in those products like, say for example, gold. This time around gold feels more safe, so people will invest more in gold, in oil as well maybe. Now the big problem that the world may face is coronavirus outbreak is already out, right? But if it is the way it is widening, the way it is spreading around the world, like we have some good news from China that things are getting there slowly, things are getting under control as far as coronavirus is concerned. So that's a good news. But there are so many new countries where we find coronavirus. So if it keeps on spreading, and if it spreads rapidly, then it's going to create negative things for our global economy, and the world may see a 2008 type of financial crisis, or it may get even worse than what we witnessed back in 2008. So this is a big risk that is just around the corner. Two important things, and then we will conclude this editorial analysis. The first is that any failure to expedite the resolution of Yes Bank runs the risk of undermining wider banking sector stability. Government is trying to solve this via SBI. Government is trying to solve this Yes Bank crisis. Yesterday we were talking about this Yes Bank crisis in detail. We have gone through the reasons and so many things we have talked about, isn't it? So it is very important for the government to make sure that this Yes Bank crisis is solved as quickly as possible, as well as the solution should be as good as possible. I'm not saying to achieve or to go for or aim for a best solution. I would say a good one will do as well, right? We don't need a perfect solution. If we can get it, then that's best thing that we can get. But if we can't achieve this best solution, then at least we should have a good solution. And this will send a very positive signal in the market. This is the most important thing. Second thing, that we have to keep the market, RBI and center should take measures to ensure that markets are adequately, it has adequate liquidity or lubricated market, right? Flow of money should be there. So this is important. This is something, these two steps that government as well as RBI should take. So that's basically everything. We have talked about so many things here, isn't it? So let's talk about scoring law. It's very sad that the latest report, Parliamentary Standing Committee on Human Resource Development's report indicates that in 2017-18, only 56.45% of government schools had electricity, 56.98% a playground, almost 40% lacked a boundary wall, and if you talk about Uttar Pradesh, almost 70% of schools lacked electricity. Electricity, a very basic thing, and this is a big irony as well, that on one side, India is founder, leader of International Solar Alliance. I'm sure you'd be aware about ISA. I have question number 1 for you. On your screen, you can see Narendra Modi. Can you give me the name of the person who is standing with Narendra Modi, who he is, his name, his position, etc. Now, ISA, International Solar Alliance. I'm going to be very basic here. I have two important points which I would like to draw your attention. The first thing is, let's imagine that this is our world, right? This is our globe. So you have this 0-degree line. This is what we call equator, isn't it? And then you have this 23.5-degree north line, which we call it as Cancer, Tropic of Cancer. And then you have this 23.5-degree south, that is Tropic of Capricorn. So this belt here, the world between this, or all the countries, the whole portion, this portion is called a torrid zone, because this portion intercepts or receives maximum heat from the sun, of course, heat plus light. These are the two things that this portion gets maximum, right? As you move to the northern side and as you move towards southern side, heat and light reception decreases compared to this region. So this region has the potential to produce, or because it receives maximum heat and light from sun, so this region has this potential to produce maximum electricity from solar power or solar rays. So this is point number one. And ISA is basically about all those countries who are directly and indirectly, or partially and impartially. Those countries, they are entirely in torrid zone or tropical zone, and those countries that are partially, like India, a portion of India, nearly 50% India is here, right? Or let's say it looks like something like this, India, right? Let's say this is India here. So you find right from the middle, and not exactly, but 50%, roughly 50% portion is in this torrid zone, and then the rest of the portion is in a subtropical region. So India is part of founder leader, and there are so many countries. If you open your atlas, then you'll find there are so many countries that are part of this ISA. And anyway, so this is one thing. The other thing, second important thing is in future, ISA is going to be a very important organization. The reason is that if you see the world, right, geopolitics, you will observe that all those countries who have produced oil, they have directly, indirectly influenced the world. Like, for example, Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia is not a country that is that much mighty when it comes to military. It's not, if you compare it with Iran, then you feel like Saudi Arabia having this much of oil, then as well, it's not that powerful country. But because it has this oil, it has some allies like USA. You have good friends because of oil. So directly, indirectly, Saudi Arabia has influenced this region, and there are, this is just one example. I hope you know what I mean. So future is going to be of all those nations, and future is going to be of of renewable energy. So just imagine if India, that 85% of our oil requirements, we are importing it. Just imagine if everything works on like our vehicles, our factories, if we can produce enough electricity, but if we get electric vehicles, then we don't need oil, isn't it? We don't need this much oil that we are importing. So gradually we will become immune to this influence of this oil producing countries. Can you imagine? There are so many countries out there in Africa and Asia, right? They import huge amount of oil, and they have to be dependent on this Gulf nations and other oil producing countries. So ISA is going to be a very, very important organization. Not now, but maybe after 2030 or maybe after 2040. So what we are the seeds of ISA, right? At present, it looks as small, tiny seeds or green shoots, but in future, it's going to be a very big tree. So these are 2 points associated with, 2 important things associated with ISA. Now, the thing is, it's an irony that we are founder leader, but we cannot produce enough electricity, or we are not having electricity for our government schools, and this is very sad. So question number 1, I have got question number 2 for you. Question number 2 is, can you give me the headquarter of ISA? Where do you find the headquarter of ISA? Give me the answer in the comment section. Now, insight from district information database, we find that neglect of toilet construction for Divyangs. We don't find dedicated disabled toilets in our schools, particularly government schools. Failure to build toilets for girls in third of secondary schools, and this is very sad. one of the main reason why so many girls they drop out from education is because they don't get this toilet facility at school, and failure to build laboratories for higher secondary science students. So all these things are clear indication that we are not taking our education that seriously. What we can do is we can launch a war-like mission mode approach to school infrastructure in next 100 days. Central government and state governments together, they can create a plan, and in, let's say, they can keep a target of 100 days. In 100 days, each and every government school should have all these basic facilities, right? This is achievable, this is possible. Community participation will play a very important role, and playgrounds, right? They are very important. You can learn so many things from staying indoors, or when you are between these four walls, right? I'm not saying that classrooms are not good, very important, but you cannot ignore playgrounds. There are so many skills that we learn from our playgrounds. The kids learn from playgrounds. So if you don't have playgrounds, right, then the best is take those kids out somewhere else, right? In your in village area, that's not a problem, but in your city area or maybe towns, if you don't have enough room, then best is to take them to a common plot or something where kids can play around, So we should create this sort of environment for our kids. Playgrounds are very important, and I would like to add something from my point of view. I would say that we need to design our schools properly, government schools, right? They should be more attractive. When I say attractive, I'm not saying that you should add more expensive items in it, but at least it should be more creative, isn't it? You need to deploy those creative designers. They can change the color of walls, the way the school looks, a little bit of changes. They can create 1%, 2% changes will also create huge impact. So we need to do that, right? It's very, very important. And nowadays we have this small, tiny solutions that we can deploy, and it can create huge results for us. So education, particularly for our kids, right? If we want to achieve this demographic dividend in future, for that we have to train our kids, and they should get all basic facilities at their schools. So it should be our national priority. So that's everything. Now let's crack on to another one. But before that, dear friends, I found this small infographic. It's about how to wash hands. It's a very basic thing, but please take out 30-40 seconds and go through this 9 steps. It's very important, and also make sure that you pass this infographic to other people as well around you. You can WhatsApp them or Telegram them to your loved ones. You can share it on your social networking sites as well. It's very important. It's basically about coronavirus, to protect ourselves against this virus. Now, India needs all hands on deck. Talking about coronavirus, we are not going to talk about its spread and other things. We are going to talk about what we need to do, right? What India is missing here. So on 6th February, the World Health Organization recognized the Pune-based National Institute of Virology, NIV, as one of the 15 laboratories that would provide reference testing support for novel coronavirus. So NIV getting on board means being part of this 15 laboratory is pride moment for our country. But we need more labs. Just having one lab is not going to be enough for a country like India. COVID-19 cases remained constant at 3 for nearly a month in India, but now it is going up steadily. In today's newspaper as well, we find I think 6 and 6, somewhere around 12, 13 cases. I'll have to check the figure, but we'll talk about it later on. So things are going up steadily. This virus cases are going up steadily, and this is a bad news for our country as for the world as well. So anticipating such a scenario, more labs are screening COVID-19 samples now, because at present we have 52 labs on board. But the problem is that only an IV is authorized or was authorized to confirm positive cases. Then later on we added this 52 labs. Now NIV is the only lab in our country that has this biosafety level 4. So do we need this sort of level 4 labs only? No. The thing is, you can have a BSL 3 facilities as well. And we have BSL. There are so many labs in our country. They have this BSL 3 facility. And for example, Nimhans, right? It's a very a famous institution. It's located in Bangalore. And if you go through this article, you will find doctors of this Nimhans. They have said that we have this BSL-3 facility, we have all this latest and advanced equipments with us, but we are not given this opportunity. And if you don't allow us to be part of this coronavirus or fight against coronavirus, then we will not learn. After things have settled, that's a different thing. But when things are going on, if you take this sort of institutions on board, then this will make a difference. It will be a learning curve for them. It will create a sort of experience that you cannot learn afterwards. And when the entire genome is sequenced, it is important to sequence this genome. It's basically about breaking it down and deducing it, and then understanding each and every part of it, like, say, for example, where the virus came from, how it spreads, and other things. So sequencing is important, and this is the right time that we take these institutions on board. And we can learn so many things from China. Like China earlier on, back in 2002-03, it was not doing that great at all. If you compare it with where India is at present, back in 2002-03, China was not having this sort of facilities. And when this SARS broke out, so many people got affected. 800 died as well because of this SARS in 2002-03. Then bird flu came in 2003. At that point of time as well, China was not doing that great. But later on, China affiliated or collaborated with this Atlanta-based Center for Disease Control and Prevention in 2004. And in 10 years' time, China developed some 408 labs and 554 sentinel hospitals. And this has this whole ecosystem that China developed in 10 years, from 2004 to 14. This has helped China to fight this coronavirus. And today we find this news items coming from China that things are, China is able to solve, means numbers are dropping now in China. So that's a good news. And all these things happened because China took an active part from 2002 to 14. So to prepare ourselves for future outbursts or this sort of outbreaks, right, India should take steps, and India should take on board all those institutions that are not on board at present. Then let's talk about a progressive system of taxation. As a concept, dividend has been in existence since the inception of Income Tax Act. Now, what is dividend? Any shareholder in a company is entitled to dividend as a return on investment. So you purchase a share and the profit the company will share with you. So that's basically a dividend, isn't it? Now, dividend covers various elements of payouts from a company and seeks to tax those at some stage. Now, the question is, at what point should the dividend be taxed and how? The major concern here is that let's say a company has made, let's say, 100 rupees, right? So this is the final profit, 30% tax, so you get 70%. And out of this 70%, let's imagine that you have 40 shareholders, so you have to pay 1 rupee each. And this rest 30 rupees will be kept by the company. So as you can see here, that out of your total profit, 30% you have already paid the tax. Now this individuals, they will also pay tax. So this is double taxation. This is something that government should be worried and concerned about, because people are not happy with this thing. And in this, as I told you, this article is written by it's written by a CA. So he's talking about this classical system, simplistic system, and imputation system of dividend taxation, right, or dividend distribution tax. Now, you don't have to go through the technicalities of this thing, right? Just understand what dividend is, and government should, of course, we should find a better method so that there is no double taxation on dividend. Moving on to news items, Scindia meets Modi. He quits Congress. COVID-19 cases surge in our country, 8 in Kerala, and then you have 3 each in Karnataka and Maharashtra. So basically 14 cases total, new cases. 1,000 police personnel on alert in Coimbatore. IAF, Indian Air Force plane C Globemaster, has evacuated 58 Indians from Iran, 31 women, 25 men and 2 children were brought back. And External Affairs Minister has said that government is working to bring back more Indians from Iran. There are some 2,000 Indians that are living in Iran. Oil marketing companies cut petrol and diesel prices. And the last one is that LPG scheme is closed, but only 3% have gone kerosene. Three states have gone kerosene free. I beg your pardon for this mistake. Now, basically, Ujjwala scheme, Ujjwala Yojana was for providing gas connection, this LPG connection to household, and it has done very well, right? But then as well, we find only 3 states and 5 union territories are kerosene free. So kerosene is a very polluting fuel, and people have to, why we are still seeing this use of kerosene. This is a matter of concern. Government should work on it. And that's basically everything in today's discussion. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please share this video with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something, and stick your answer in the comment section. I'll see you with daily financial news analysis. God bless you all. Jai Hind.